Welcome back to the Chattable podcast, where enrich vocabulary and speak English with pride.
Glad to be here.
Imagine for a second that it is 3 in the morning.
Oh, the absolute worst time for the phone to ring.
Right. Your company's primary servers are completely locked down. You are losing like $10,000 every single minute.
Just brutal.
And your lead systems engineer is simply not answering his phone.
That is a nightmare scenario.
It really is. So we have a genuinely fantastic journey planned for you today. And when I say journey, I mean we are going to completely immerse you in a high-stakes business narrative just like that one.
Yeah, we're diving right into the deep end.
Exactly. Our mission for this episode is to explore exactly what happens when a company faces a massive crisis, fights through absolute chaos, and, has to rely on pure determination to succeed.
It's intense stuff.
It is. But we aren't just telling a corporate story today. We are exploring this entire journey through 14 high-impact English idioms.
Which is such a cool way to look at it.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
We are taking you on an edge-of-your-seat ride to understand the real language of business survival. Okay, let's unpack this.
That framing is absolutely perfect because what we are really doing in this episode is dissecting the language of pressure.
Right.
We're looking at the specific, vivid phrases people use when their actual survival in the corporate world is on the line.
Because they stop using corporate speak, right?
Exactly. It is fascinating how, when the stakes get incredibly high, human beings naturally turn away from boring business jargon.
Yeah, no one says synergy when the servers are on fire.
Right. Instead, they default to highly physical, sometimes violent imagery to describe their stress, their strategies, and, their eventual successes or failures.
And every truly great business crisis, like the kind that tests whether a company will even exist next month, usually starts in the dark.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't start in the sunny boardroom. It starts when the office is completely empty and someone is lying in bed at home just staring blankly at the ceiling.
The midnight panic.
Yes. That brings us to our first concept. When a problem is so severe that it will keep someone up at night.
It is such a common phrase in the business world, but when you stop and look at the biological reality behind it, it is quite intense.
It really is.
This isn't just about having a passing worry or feeling a little nervous about a presentation tomorrow.
No, not at all. We are talking about a problem so deeply worrying, like so fundamental to the survival of the business, that your body's stress hormones,
like cortisol.
Right, they physically prevent you from sleeping. Your brain simply refuses to shut down because it perceives a massive existential threat.
Consider the reality of a cybersecurity director.
Okay.
Imagine this person is dreading a system-wide ransomware attack.
Oh, wow.
For those who might not know, ransomware is a type of malicious software where hackers literally lock up all of your company's data.
They just take it hostage.
Exactly. They encrypt it and demand a massive financial payout just to give you the password back.
That's terrifying.
For a professional in that position, the possibility of losing everything to hackers is the ultimate nightmare. It is the defining, terrifying issue that keeps him up at night.
You can just vividly imagine that director lying awake, running through every terrible scenario in the dark.
Over and over.
But obviously, you cannot stay paralyzed in bed forever.
No, eventually the sun comes up.
Right, and you have to get to the office and take action. When a crisis of that magnitude hits, you have to leave no stone unturned.
Exactly. A massive crisis demands a meticulous, obsessive response.
You have to look everywhere.
You cannot afford to be lazy, and you cannot afford to assume anything is safe when the entire company is at risk. You have to check every single detail.
His history of this phrase is actually amazing, and it perfectly illustrates the level of desperation required.
Oh, from the Greek legend?
Yeah, it originates from an ancient Greek legend. The story goes that a man was searching for hidden gold inside a tent after a battle. And to find it, he didn't just look around casually. He literally flipped over every single rock and pebble on the ground.
He left absolutely no stone unturned in his frantic search.
Exactly.
It serves as the perfect metaphor for a modern corporate investigation, really. Take a software engineering team as an example.
Okay, picture that.
Imagine they're trying to find a microscopic memory leak.
Which is what, exactly?
A memory leak is essentially a tiny, almost invisible flaw in the computer code that slowly eats up the system's resources until the entire application just crashes.
Oh, man.
It's like a microscopic crack in a giant dam. To find that tiny crack, the engineers have to review thousands upon thousands of lines of code.
They have to look everywhere.
Right, they must leave no stone unturned.
So this initial phase of a crisis is basically like being a frantic detective at a major crime scene, right?
It's a great way to put it.
You are dusting every surface, interviewing every witness, checking every camera angle. But I have to push back on this a little bit.
Oh.
Think about the psychology here. If a problem is already keeping you up at night, doesn't leaving no stone unturned actually make the insomnia significantly worse?
Why would it?
I mean, you are hyper-fixating on every tiny, terrifying detail of the disaster. That sounds exhausting.
What's fascinating here is the psychological shift that actually takes place when you start doing the work.
Okay.
Yes, you are looking directly at all the terrifying details, but lying awake at night in your bed is a state of passive, paralyzing fear.
You're just trapped with your thoughts.
Exactly. You're a helpless victim of your own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
When you get up, go to work, and start leaving no stone unturned, you transition into active, methodical control.
Oh, I see.
That thorough investigation is actually what cures the anxiety because you are finally doing something concrete about the threat.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You move from the helpless fear of the unknown to the active management of the known.
Right.
But of course, you aren't managing this massive problem in a vacuum by yourself. You are working with a broader team. And that means you inevitably have to deal with the messy, unpredictable human element.
Which, as any manager will tell you, is often the hardest part of any business crisis.
Absolutely. You might have the perfect strategy, but you have to rely on people to execute it.
And people are flawed.
Yeah. And sometimes your own colleagues are the biggest threat.
Uh-huh.
That introduces our next concept, which describes a very specific type of dangerous colleague.
A loose cannon.
Yes, a loose cannon.
The visual imagery for this one is incredibly dramatic, and it explains exactly why this type of person is so feared in a corporate setting.
It really is. It originates directly from naval warfare. Picture a wooden warship out on the turbulent ocean hundreds of years ago.
Okay.
On the deck, they have these massive, heavy iron cannons that weigh thousands of pounds.
Real heavy artillery.
Right. Now, imagine one of those cannons breaks free from its thick ropes during a violent storm or maybe in the middle of a battle.
Oh, wow.
It becomes a loose cannon, rolling wildly and unpredictably across the ship's deck, with every single wave smashing into people, crushing equipment, and just destroying everything in its path.
And in the corporate world, a loose cannon is exactly that. It's a team member whose uncontrolled, highly unpredictable behavior endangers everyone else on the ship.
Can you give me an example?
Imagine an unscripted founder speaking at a live press conference.
Oh, that is every public relations director's absolute worst nightmare.
Exactly.
You put a loose cannon in front of a live microphone, and they might say absolutely anything.
They could ruin the company in seconds.
Right. They might accidentally reveal a secret product that isn't ready. They might aggressively insult a major competitor.
Or they might just go completely off topic and embarrass the brand.
You have absolutely zero control over the damage they might cause.
And unfortunately, that lack of control often extends beyond just public relations and bleeds right into the company's bank account.
Right.
This continues our nautical ocean-based theme with the phrase, to spend money like drunken sailors.
Historically, this referred to actual sailors who would come ashore after being stuck on a miserable ship at sea for months at a time, right?
That's right.
They finally get their hands on their pay, they hit the local port town, and they blow all their cash in a single weekend.
Just completely gone.
They spend recklessly and impulsively with absolutely zero long-term budget planning.
We see this exact behavior a lot in the business world, particularly with young startups.
Oh, definitely.
Think about tech founders throwing lavish, incredibly expensive launch parties the exact moment they receive their first round of investment funding.
Before they've even done anything.
Exactly. Before they have even built a profitable product or secured a single paying customer, they are renting out penthouses and buying expensive catering. They are spending money like drunken sailors.
So you have an internal team dealing with dangerous loose cannons and reckless spenders. But the chaos isn't just internal.
No, you have the outside world too.
Right. What about the external threats? You also have to worry about the market itself being rigged against you, which happens when powerful forces decide to put a nose on the scale.
This is a variation of the phrase putting a thumb on the scale.
Okay, where does it come from?
It comes from the historical days of physical market merchants. Imagine you are buying grain or meat, and the merchant is weighing it out on a physical balance scale.
Right.
When you aren't looking, that dishonest merchant secretly leans their thumb, or in this specific idiom, their nose on the scale to make the goods seem heavier.
Sneaky.
Extremely sneaky. That way, they can charge you significantly more money for less product.
It is the absolute definition of hidden bias and unfairness.
Absolutely.
In a corporate environment, it means using unfair leverage or authority to secretly manipulate a situation.
Like,
Imagine an executive board secretly favoring a senior manager's project proposal. Instead of letting all the different product teams compete fairly for the budget based on the quality of their ideas, the board puts their nose on the scale to ensure their preferred manager wins, regardless of merit.
that happens more often than you'd think.
I'm sure. But I want to challenge how we look at these three specific phrases for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
We generally see these as massive negatives, right? But aren't loose cannons sometimes the brilliant, eccentric visionaries who actually disrupt the market?
That's an interesting point.
Like, without them, a company might just play it safe and slowly fade into irrelevance. And isn't putting a nose on the scale just what executives call strategic prioritization? I mean, sometimes leadership just has to force a difficult decision to keep things moving.
That is a very generous interpretation of corporate behavior, but it highlights something incredibly crucial for our discussion. Whether you personally view a loose cannon as a brilliant visionary or a walking disaster, and whether you view a biased executive decision as deeply unfair or highly strategic, they both represent the exact same fundamental problem.
Uncontrolled variables.
Exactly, uncontrolled variables. These human elements introduce massive chaos into a system. And that chaos is the exact thing that causes the crippling stress that keeps leaders up at night in the first place.
Because you cannot build a predictable financial spreadsheet to calculate what a drunken sailor is going to do next.
Exactly. You can't model human unpredictability.
So with all these unpredictable internal and external pressures swirling around, how does a team actually execute their goals?
It's a juggling act.
How do you manage this chaos in motion without everything falling apart? That brings us to a fundamental requirement for business survival: the ability to walk and chew gum.
It sounds incredibly simple when you first hear it, doesn't it?
It really does.
Walking and chewing gum are two of the most basic, mindless human actions imaginable.
Right. If you tell someone in everyday life that they cannot walk and chew gum at the same time, it is a direct insult.
A pretty harsh one, yeah.
It means they lack basic physical coordination. But in the demanding business world, asserting that a team can walk and chew gum is actually a high compliment.
It really is.
It means they excel at multitasking under intense competing pressures.
Think about the reality of a modern software startup. The engineering team has to fix active software bugs that are currently crashing the system for existing users, while they are simultaneously building brand new, innovative features to attract future investors.
They can't just pick one.
No, they cannot stop one critical task to do the other. They must walk and chew gum just to keep the company alive.
And if they fail to multitask effectively, if they ignore one vital side of the business to focus entirely on the other, they're going to face our next concept.
Which is?
The ignored problems will inevitably bubble up.
Think about the literal physics of this phrase for a moment. It comes from gas pressure building beneath the surface of a thick liquid.
Like a boiling pot.
Exactly. For a long time, if you look at the surface, you don't see anything. It looks calm. But the pressure is constantly building underneath, and eventually the bubbles have to break the surface in a disruptive way.
Imagine a company that has a terribly outdated, confusing user interface on their website.
Okay.
For months, customers are silently frustrated. They are annoyed, but they don't say anything directly to the company.
Nothing seems wrong on the surface.
Right. But eventually that collective frustration builds to a boiling point, and those customer complaints finally bubble up into a massive public relations disaster on social media for the whole world to see.
And you just can't hide it once that happens.
You simply cannot suppress that kind of pressure forever. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because once those long-hidden issues finally bubble up, the team can't just passively investigate anymore. They have to launch their response.
It's action time.
This shifts our metaphors away from ships and oceans and right into high-speed automotive travel. First, they have to hit the road.
This is a classic American automotive travel idiom.
Right.
To hit the road simply means to depart, to set off on your journey, or to finally launch your big plan into action.
Picture a team frantically packing their camera equipment and servers into a van. because they have a 5-hour drive ahead of them before the sun sets.
The clock is ticking.
The leader looks at the watch and says, "All right, it is time to hit the road." Metaphorically, in business, it means taking your project out of the safe planning phase and putting it out into the real unforgiving world.
And once you hit the road, you must have your foot on the pedal.
Right, you can't slow down.
This phrase comes directly from the intense world of automotive racing. When you press the gas pedal all the way down to the floor, you send maximum fuel to the engine.
Pedal to the metal.
Exactly. Keeping your foot on the pedal means maintaining continuous, unrelenting, full speed.
You are operating at maximum intensity toward your goal without ever slowing down for a break. Think of a sports context. A head coach telling his players in the locker room that even though they have a comfortable 20-point lead, they need to keep their foot on the pedal until the final whistle blows.
They cannot afford to let up their aggressive pace for even a second.
So if we look at this whole sequence of execution, it feels like you are trying to change the tires on a race car while you are actively driving it around the track at 200 miles an hour.
That sounds dangerous.
It does. But tell me this. If you have your foot firmly on the pedal, aggressively pushing for maximum speed, doesn't that guarantee that hidden issues are going to bubble up much faster because of all the intense friction and heat you are creating?
Absolutely, and that is the great risk of speed.
Right.
The faster you push a complex machine or a complex human team, the faster all of its weak points are exposed. When you have your foot on the pedal, you have absolutely zero margin for error.
None at all.
A small structural problem that might have stayed hidden for a full year at a slow, comfortable pace will violently bubble up in a single week when you are operating at maximum speed.
Which brings us right into the climax of our business story. The team is moving at absolute maximum speed.
Right.
And at this extreme velocity, there are really only two possible outcomes: total, beautiful synchronization, or complete and utter collapse.
A very fine line.
Let's start with the ideal state. When everything is perfect, you are operating in the pocket.
Operating in the pocket represents supreme comfort, ideal timing, and incredibly smooth peak performance.
Like a flow state.
Exactly. It is that rare flow state where everything just works.
The origins of this phrase are fascinating because they combine two completely different cultural disciplines: American football and jazz music.
Well, that's right.
In football, the pocket is the protected U-shaped area behind the massive offensive line where the quarterback stands safely to throw the ball.
Right.
In jazz music, being in the pocket means the musicians are perfectly locked into the rhythm of the groove, completely in sync with each other.
It is a beautiful state to be in. Imagine a veteran quarterback standing perfectly calm behind that wall of strong offensive linemen.
He's totally protected.
Right. Despite the chaos of the opposing team rushing at him, he stays perfectly in the pocket, takes his time, and delivers a flawless 30-yard touchdown pass.
Wow.
In a business context, being in the pocket means your team is entirely focused, thoroughly protected from outside distractions, and executing their strategy flawlessly.
But the harsh reality of high-stakes business is that perfection rarely lasts very long.
Unfortunately.
Even when you feel like you are safely in the pocket, disaster is often just a split second away. And that brings us to the total collapse when you fumble the ball.
We're sticking with the American football metaphor here.
Right?
A fumble happens when a player has secure possession of the ball, but then simply drops it right in the middle of a crucial play, allowing the other team to steal it.
In a corporate setting, to fumble the ball means to make a careless, devastating mistake at the most critical possible moment.
You drop the ball on a guaranteed opportunity.
Imagine the visceral pain of this scenario, right? A sales representative has spent 6 months negotiating a massive multi-million-dollar contract.
Okay.
It's practically signed. The client is ready. But the rep completely fumbles the ball by simply forgetting to attach the final pricing agreement to an email before a 5:00 p.m. deadline.
Oh, that hurts.
The client loses trust, and the deal dies entirely.
It is absolutely agonizing to watch.
It is. But it highlights an amazing, cruel irony about human nature. It actually feels like being in the pocket can biologically cause you to make that mistake.
So?
You feel so safe, so protected, and so comfortably in the groove that your adrenaline drops. You end up fumbling the ball specifically because you lost that healthy paranoid edge that kept you up at night in the first place.
This raises an important question for any manager or executive. How do you maintain a team's sharp vigilance without destroying their smooth rhythm?
That's a really tough balance.
Because if a team is too paranoid, they can't walk and chew gum. The anxiety causes them to freeze up completely. But if they are too relaxed and comfortable in the pocket, they get sloppy and they fumble the ball. Balancing that psychological tension is the true ultimate test of leadership.
And inevitably, no matter how skilled the leader is, a mistake will happen. The ball will eventually be fumbled.
It's bound to happen.
So what happens next? The final phase of our journey is all about the aftermath, the recovery, and the safety net. You've made a catastrophic mistake. How does the team survive? First, you have to make absolutely sure the core lesson is learned. You have to ensure the significance is not lost on someone.
When we say a subtle point or a lesson is lost on someone, it means they completely failed to understand it or appreciate its importance.
Right. It just didn't register.
The true meaning simply went right over their head.
But if a lesson is not lost on them, it means they fully grasped the heavy gravity of the situation.
Give me an example.
Consider a positive example of this. If a company decides to launch their brand new revolutionary software on the exact date of their 5-year anniversary, the deep symbolic significance of that timing was not lost on the founder.
I see.
She deeply understood the emotional importance of hitting that specific milestone.
In the dark context of a crisis, however, if a team fumbles the ball and loses a major client, the leader must ensure the fundamental reason for that failure is not lost on the team.
You have to really feel it.
They have to deeply internalize the pain of the mistake so they can fix their internal processes.
Because once they truly understand the mistake, they have to fight to survive the fallout. This brings out the rawest emotion of a business crisis, the instinct to fight tooth and nail.
This phrase has been part of the English language since the 1500s, and it evokes a highly visceral image.
Yeah, sounds pretty intense.
It conjures the picture of a wild animal trapped and backed into a corner, fighting desperately for its very life, using everything it naturally possesses, its teeth and its claws.
It represents fierce, unyielding, almost desperate determination.
Right.
Imagine a classic David and Goliath scenario. A small, underfunded community group deciding to fight tooth and nail against a massive billion-dollar real estate developer to protect their beloved neighborhood park from being bulldozed.
That's a tough battle.
They don't have high-priced lawyers or political power, but they have absolute, ferocious determination.
When a business makes a massive error that threatens their survival, they cannot just send a polite apology email.
No, that won't cut it.
They have to fight tooth and nail, using every ounce of energy they have to win back their clients' trust and save their reputation from ruin.
But fighting tooth and nail is incredibly dangerous. Even if you fight with everything you have, you might still lose the battle.
It's true.
Which brings us to our final phrase, the ultimate safety measure. Every great strategy must include a fallback.
The term fallback originates from historical military tactics. It refers to a pre-fortified, highly secure secondary position located behind the front lines.
So a backup plan.
Exactly. If the frontline troops are suddenly overwhelmed by a massive enemy attack, they don't just scatter into the woods in a panic.
Right.
They execute a planned retreat to their fallback position, a safe, reinforced area prepared well in advance.
In business, a fallback is your ultimate plan B. It is your structural safety net.
What would that look like in tech?
Think of a critical technology infrastructure. If a primary cloud server experiences a catastrophic power outage during the busiest shopping day of the year, the application automatically switches over to a secondary fallback system located in a different city.
It saves the day.
Exactly. The front line completely failed, but the fallback system safely caught the traffic and saved the business from ruin. Think of the fallback exactly like a trapeze artist's net at the circus.
That's a great visual.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you navigate your own professional challenges and crises? We see a fascinating psychological chain reaction playing out through these phrases.
Right.
Recognizing the painful reality of a mistake, ensuring the lesson is not lost on you, is exactly what triggers that primal wild animal instinct to fight tooth and nail.
And you fight hard.
You fight as hard and as fiercely as you possibly can, specifically to survive long enough to reach the safety of the fallback net.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have taken an incredible, expansive journey today in this episode.
We really have.
We started in the dark with the midnight panic that keeps a leader awake, and we ended in the light with a fully fortified fallback plan.
Right.
The idioms we naturally use to describe business are intensely, wonderfully dramatic. We talk about heavy naval cannons crushing ship decks, drunken sailors blowing their cash, high-speed racing cars burning fuel, perfect football passes, and wild animals fighting for their lives.
It's so visceral.
It really is. These phrases prove that corporate life isn't just about cold, boring numbers on a financial spreadsheet. It is deeply human, it is incredibly messy, and it is absolutely thrilling.
It really is an adventure filled with all the triumph and tragedy of the human experience. And as we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over.
Ooh, all right.
It is something that naturally emerges from the tension between our last two phrases. If a brilliant strategist always prepares a highly secure, comfortable fallback plan, does knowing that safety net is always there actually prevent a team from truly fighting tooth and nail?
Wow.
Think about it deeply. Can you genuinely fight like a desperate wild animal for your very survival? If, in the back of your mind, that you have a comfortable secondary position waiting to catch you if you fall.
That is a fascinating paradox about motivation and safety.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We heavily encourage you to practice these phrases, internalize the stories behind them, and use them in your own professional life. We look forward to exploring more fascinating linguistic journeys with you next time. Keep learning and keep speaking with pride.